Hello and welcome to the Cinch Stadium, the home of course to men's Premiership champions Northampton Saints. I'm Kath Brazier and BFBS are delighted to be bringing you two games live from here today. Franklin's Gardens of course has a rich military history, so it's only fitting that the RAF versus the Navy start IS Rugby here this weekend. And that's who will first see the RAF versus the Navy in the first game of Inter-Services Rugby.
Really excited. I don't know why, but this year's felt like quite a long lead up. Like we've obviously managed to get quite a few fixtures in beforehand. So just like super excited that this week's actually finally here, the campaign starting.
You were talking earlier about a couple of wins. You played for Police, you played Fire too. Momentum feels pretty good, does it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like playing the fixtures that we've played, they're similar teams to us, i.e. they come together for sort of a week or so. Obviously play a fixture and then go and depart their separate ways. So yeah, playing against teams like that's been really good for us. Good test. And obviously, yeah, we've got 2 wins so far. So yeah, momentum's definitely sort of going in our favour. Previous
years you haven't had the run in at all, so it obviously must make a nice change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I say we've got quite a few fresh faces this year, and obviously some super talented people. So like it's just been nice seeing them on the field, actually showing what they can do. And then now we've got the opportunity, obviously, to get to Navy to show what we can do too.
How nice has it been for you to mentor them, to make sure they're coming through rightly? How have they been doing on the training park?
Yeah, really good. I think I feel like one of the old ones now. But it's just really nice. Like I think some years we struggled to get like numbers, where now it's competitive. Like we've got people that haven't made the IS camps, and then obviously we've got people here that won't make the team. And yeah, as I say, everyone's kind of had a part in building the team that will take the field on the day. But it's just really nice to see women's rugby in the forces growing, especially obviously the Air Force.
And a fairly convincing win last year, of course, down in Plymouth, and now here we are ahead of Franklin's Gardens. What are you expecting, though, in terms of threats from a Navy side that you know very well?
I think the Navy always give us a really physical game. They're very, very strong up front, so that's something that we've obviously been working on. I think in terms of our backs, we've got some unreal pace. So I think we'll obviously look to try and unleash our backs a bit more this year, which should be some exciting rugby.
We know, of course, in the tournament itself that you've got that break in the middle when the Army and Navy go head-to-head. How nice is it, though, to get going immediately and be involved in that first match?
Yeah, it's really nice to kind of be that like curtain opener game, the first game to kick off the inter-services. And yeah, I think we're just like kind of like biting, like chomping at the bit really, to just to play and show what we can do, and really like put, I guess, our stamp on the tournament and say like this is what we've got now. So see how it unfolds.
The girls are all really lively. We've had some great training sessions off of the back of the game against Marine Nationale, and that excitement is just building, and you can really feel it within the camp.
How important was that game in getting not just the competitive juices obviously flowing ahead of IS, but in terms of conditioning everyone physically as well?
Yeah, I think especially for the ladies who it was their first cap, it was like a bit of a brutal but welcome into kind of inter-service rugby. And I think it's given them a real kind of baseline of what to expect now going forward. We know the Royal Air Force are physical, and we know moving past that the Army are really physical, so it's given us that kind of that starting expectation of where we need to be.
What were the things that pleased you most from that match against the French?
I think just the grit and determination. We kept to our system, we kept to our process, we kept trying to drive forward, kind of despite the scoreline and despite things not going our way. And the Marine Nationale had an incredible defence, and they put us under loads of pressure, but we continued to try and fight against that. And I think it was just that grit and determination and keeping that going throughout that I think is like my proudest moment from that game for the team.
And Brian powering that forward, a wonderful rolling ball and a try for the Royal Navy. They're on the scoreboard.
Speaking of grit and determination, it couldn't have got any more physical for you either. So how's the body holding up?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think watching it back, realising quite just how many times I may have hit the floor, it was a bit crazy. But I'm not feeling too bad, but just trying to rest, recover, and really look after myself at the moment.
You mentioned the RAF and knowing what they have in terms of their threats. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a showdown. Yeah,
one of my favourite games to play is against the Royal Air Force, just because recent years it's been very tight and a really well fought game, and they are an incredible outfit, and like you say, some absolutely incredible players on their squad, and it's a very competitive game and it feels very well matched, and they really bring it to us and we really bring it to them. So it's just, as much as it is really physically demanding and very, very tiring, it's also really enjoyable as well.
I know we mentioned it at the launch of the inter-services, but obviously Franklin's Gardens is getting even closer. It's going to be brilliant to kick off the tournament that way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually not somewhere I've ever played, so like really excited to go there and kind of play on some new turf and just experience, I guess, a new stadium, and what a fantastic stadium to kick off the inter-services with.
Now, it was the RAF women who came away with a 12-34 victory down in Plymouth last year, but the Navy pushed them hard. So let's see what both teams can produce this afternoon. Your commentary team for today is Simon Hunter, and he's joined by Charlie Maxwell.
Please welcome to the field the Royal
Thank you, Kath. Hello and a very warm welcome to the opening match of the 2025 Inter-Service Rugby Championships, a highly anticipated clash between the Royal Air Force and Royal Navy women's sides. Also welcomed into the competition is the home of the men's Premiership champions, Northampton's Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens, making its debut as the setting for this encounter. The last time out, the Light Blues celebrated a 34-12 victory in Plymouth, and it's been 11 years since the last win for the Navy in the competition, but it was indeed the Royal Air Force they beat on that occasion. But these players will be wanting to write their names into the history books no matter what today, and what an amphitheatre of rugby royalty in which to do it. Who will be the saints and who will be the sinners on a dry but breezy day in Northampton? Well, all the training, the talking and the tweaking has been done, and the players are just moments away from a battle of huge proportions between the sides in blue. And at this point, it's always a real pleasure to be joined in commentary by a rugby star and my very dear friend. A very good afternoon to Charlie Maxwell. How are you doing?
Yeah, really well, thank you, Simon, and thank you for that really gracious welcome. It's great to be here.
Yeah, brilliant atmosphere building, of course. The teams lining out here. As we can see, the band has been out playing, and dignitaries about to step out and meet the players. This is where the adrenaline gets flowing, and things feel very real for all the players. Now, we've been waiting for this for weeks on end, and many of them from last year as well, those who lined out in their respective blue colours in 2024. It's an extremely exciting day. The first one of these inter-service championships. And fantastic to be here in Northampton. A wonderful surface. So far the rain has stayed away. We've been very lucky in that respect. And great to see those in attendance as well, the fans coming out. And great to have your company as well with us. Live, of course, every second today and throughout the entire competition live on BFBS Forces News YouTube. Well, with the conditions, Charlie, and with the sides, many of whom you know well and many of whom we've seen before, what sort of rugby are we expecting?
So I think the conditions play into the hands of the RAF. I think this pitch as well looks fantastic for them. It's quite short but a wide pitch, and I think the RAF backs are going to have a field day, if I'm really honest. The conditions are fantastic for them to get some of that champagne hands going. Wide, expansive game, fast flowing, really exciting game to be watching.
And what's the key then for the Royal Navy in countering that and also getting that front football themselves? We're going to see a bit of a tussle up front too, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. The Navy are generally known for a very good forward pack, so I think they'll try potentially and beat the RAF up slightly, albeit the RAF have a fantastic pack themselves. Back row tussle is going to be interesting today, but actually I think it'll be 9-10 today that's going to be the real key. We've got two fantastic teams for both sides in those positions. It's going to be interesting how that plays out.
Yeah, you say absolutely pivotal positions, absolutely key players as well in those positions. Both skippers lining out in the half-back pairings. Lucy Nye of the Royal Air Force just shaking hands with the dignitaries right now. Also the mascot getting a look into a very special day as well. But then, of course, opposite number, or opposite position, I guess, skipper Rose Dixon of the Royal Navy in a fly half shirt today. So it'll be fascinating to see how she goes in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually used to play with Rose back at Wasp back in the day, so I'm excited and interested to see how she plays fly half. It's not a position I've seen her play in yet, so it's going to be an exciting chance actually to see how she performs in that position and whether she has the freedom that she normally plays with, or whether that 9-10 from the light blue are going to close her down. So, as I say, it's interesting, exciting. Jenks knows her team, she's chosen, and excited to see how this plays out.
Well, you mentioned interesting, and I guess if ever a template were to be followed for the Royal Air Force, if that is intent, as you say, getting the ball out wide and doing a similar thing to last year, that 34 points to 12 victory down at Brickfield Stadium in Plymouth in this corresponding fixture, and braces of tries for the likes of Orla Proctor, with that sort of lethal handoff and getting those scores in. It's fairly obvious where a lot of their threats lie, as you've said, and they're making no disguise of that, I guess, in the training camps too. We've, of course, been along to all four teams taking part today, and the Royal Air Force saying, yeah, we've got some unreal pace, in the words of Lucy Nye.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a fantastic chance today for them to actually demonstrate that. There's really no excuses on the pitch today. The weather's amazing, conditions are fantastic, pitch looks absolutely amazing, so thank you very much to Franklin Gardens for preparing this for us. Should be an exciting game.
Moments away from kickoff here at Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens, home of Northampton Saints, of course. Do let us know where you're watching today. BFBS Forces News YouTube. It's great to have your company, as always, as we will be live every second of play, every kick, pass, try, you name it. We're live the entire way through the tournament. And let us know where you're watching today. We'll endeavour to read out some of those comments and give you a shout out as well on air. And as we have a look at the sides today, you mentioned, Charlie, of course, some interesting pairings and some interesting positional changes for both sides. I guess the Royal Air Force looking fairly consistent with their choices, led by the experienced captain Lucy Nye at 9 and her deputy Sarah Graham Jenkins at fly half. Great in that nucleus in the field. to have those two players running the show.
Yeah, really experienced pairing. And also I was chatting to Sian Williams, the new head coach of the RAF, before the game, and she was saying that this season they've had a great run into the inter-services. They've actually had their squad together, which, to be fair, on the RAF is quite unusual. They're normally, due to operational requirements, they're not often together before the inter-services. So the fact they've had a great run in, I expect them to be on it from the kickoff today.
Absolutely, and both sides will be right on it as soon as we get going here. Looking further down the list in the Royal Air Force side, lots of power in the pack with the back row. That Tadman, Forbes and Johnson trio, and midfield of Karis Morris and Orla Proctor will of course be absolutely crucial to unlocking those outside backs. Turning to the Royal Navy side, led by the experienced, the ever-present skipper Rose Dixon, and versatile in position, starting at fly half as you mentioned, and Tulloch, her half-back partner today, obviously will be key in countering that nigh threat. Another back row really full of pace and power with Brightwell, Sinclair and Swain, and Vice-Captain Rosie Staples in the second row today. A bit of versatility there too. We've seen her in the front row too. So it's going to be an absolute cracker. And we look at the officials also getting ready. And on this slightly chilly afternoon actually in Northampton, just seeing some of the assistant referees jumping up and down, getting themselves a bit warmer. We've got referee Neil Hennessy with his assistants Stephen Wally and Ben Davey, joined by Matt Ray and Damien Walker making up the complement. So it'll be the Navy to kick off. Number 10 Rose Dixon with the ball in hand. And those RAF players in purple and blue, waiting for this to come their way. Just a slight breeze. It'll be interesting to see any part that might play today. But judging by some of the kicks going on in practice, everything seems okay, and the referee and his assistants just joking there that get that mobile phone off the pitch. Certainly not what you want to be treading on. I might get some good camera angles if it's still recording, but nevertheless, we get ready here to get underway in this first match of the 2025 Inter-Service Rugby Championships. And the ref blows his whistle, and Dixon it is. It's that ball, it's a grubber rather, and picked up by Tadman. And the Royal Air Force consolidating that possession. And Proctor there, her threat at 13. And now quickly up to Forbes. Powerful ball runner. And now moving blind here, seeing what options she has, but ball just spills forward. And ref says that was a knock on. And Parnaby, who we often see at 9, lining out in the 14 shirt today. And Lake Swain taking that into contact. Dixon just summing up her options, and nice ball taken short there. And the Navy looking for quick ball if they can get it. Tulloch out to Dixon, and it's a little loose that pass, but and Jasmine Abel, those dancing feet, trying to find some space early on in this game.
Absolutely, it's interesting. Both teams have started with trying to move the ball, trying to move it wide. So at the moment, both playing quite a similar style of play.
I think some of those positional changes made by Royal Navy head coach Sarah Jenkins had us guessing as to what they were going to do, but it's Staples there, just being pushed back a little bit. Physical defence, and around Sinclair, we know what she's capable of at open side. Dixon again, and shipping that ball out. That's nice. Nice getting it out wide there, the Navy, but it looked as if that had been spilled forward. The ref saying play on, keeping that game flowing, which we like to see, of course. And trying to keep that quick ball. Sinclair again. Oh, and that's thunderous from that RAF defence. And Forbes doing her best there to make sure that they're pushed back. And that ball going behind Jess Bryan. Another player we've seen in different positions over the last few weeks. That number 8 shirt against Marine Nationale a few weeks ago against the French. But that kick's put in, and looks as if it's going out on the full there. So they will go back to the point at which it was kicked. And a bit of a breather for both sides, Charlie Maxwell.
Absolutely, and I think this is the first time we've got outside of either 10-yard line from the halfway, so this will be interesting what the RAF now do with this. It's been a close game so far, albeit we're 2 minutes in, Well, both teams currently quite well matched, and as you say, those pairings that we were talking about before the game, paying off for now.
The words of Rose Dixon last week, speaking to us about their outlook on the match and saying they are, as you say, well-matched teams. She said it's always a very competitive game and was very excited to bring it. Both sides bring it, she said, to each other, and that always makes for a bit of a titanic tussle, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I was chatting with Charm before the game, and we were just saying that any team in this championship always wants to win the game and wants to win it by good play, great sportsmanship, and actually a real challenge on the pitch. No one wants to win because the other team loses, essentially, in terms of you want to win by playing well, playing your form, having a really good competition. So really good start to this game so far.
Enterprising start by both sides, and a quick start. It'll be interesting to see just how they maintain that tempo, if this is indeed the pattern they wish to follow. I think everyone here hopes it is, and we see that ball moved wide. But like you alluded to, Charlie, we still find ourselves in the centre of the pitch, and I guess it has given both sides the opportunity just to eye each other up and see what they might expect today. That ball goes, and that's it's taken back eventually, and Royal Air Force look to secure it through their skipper Nye, but Round Sinclair there trying to get her hands on it. Ref just saying to stay off. And the RAF looking to power forward that forward muscle. And up well in support here. 2 or 3 support runners each time from the RAF. Graham Jenkins moving that out to Morris. And Proctor at speed, but can't quite take it. And the ball goes over to their opposition. The ref just gone back for that knock-on. Well, Proctor looking to take that ball at pace and looking to come in at quite a cute angle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Had she collected that ball, her line was absolutely scything through the Navy defence. Unfortunately, on that occasion, she wasn't able to hold. But that's going to be interesting as this game forwards with her choice of angle essentially through that defensive line. So far, though, the Navy being up to the challenge. Very interesting how they're actually also, as soon as they've got the ball, trying to play very similar style currently to the RAF. We haven't yet moved from middle, but it's close. This time last year, I think the RAF were already 1 try up in 4 minutes. So great start for both teams here. The line-out choice I found interesting from the RAF as well, because again they went slightly longer. So rather than going safe ball first, gone slightly longer. It didn't pay off for them, but it does show intent.
You mentioned that line out, and hopefully Emma Tadman, who's had to come off here, clutching her rib cage, is all right. Bex Wright comes on in her place, number 20, and just moving to that blindside flank. Well, it's been a very good week for Orla Proctor, extending her contract to Harlequins, and it's been full of buzz, doing video diaries as well behind the scenes, what goes on, 24 hours in the lead up to matches, that sort of thing too. But the Navy move it here. Oh, and that's lovely from Jasmine Abel. Always has the ability to find that space, Jasmine Abel.
Yeah,
silky runner.
Finding that inch, she can absolutely, well, she made 10 yards then easily through that gap. So the RAF will need to be aware of that.
And the Navy, so far, looking very keen to move it through the hands quickly, get some of those offloads in. Backs as well as forwards. Jess Bryan just getting up to her feet there. We've seen how critically important she is, and using her power to get that ball moving forward. And Lucy Honeybell, well, being shunted right back and being reminded where her half is. Bryan back to Dixon and moving that ball through midfield. Oh, and Round Sinclair trying to move around a few hasty RAF defenders. And Tulloch trying to go around the side, but as is often the case, Annie Forbes there to meet her. Lovely handoffs there from Ella Johnson.
hard yards so far being won by the Navy, and the RAF defence actually moving them back into their own half. So although Navy keeping the ball, the RAF are actually gaining ground, so the Navy will want to put pay to that.
That's thumping there from King Grundy, left winger, and that ball just spills into touch.
Yeah, as I mentioned there, the RAF defence actually putting a lot of pressure onto the Navy, and they've gained ground even without the ball. So we've now moved into the Navy 40-yard space. Again, really interesting what decision the RAF take from this line out.
Well, we've seen those rush defences, we've seen those quick moves from both sides. You have to see too many balls over the top, just trying to turn those teams round. That ball comes in and Forbes gathers tonight. Moving it out. And that's good from the RAF. Going through the phases here, gaining more ground. Graham Jenkins out to Proctor. He does well to just about keep her feet and make some more ground there. Knight getting in for that ball. And Tyler Lewis. Nye again. Out to Morris. And that ball just goes through the hands, really. But Jess Bryan it is at tight head today. Picks that up. Trying to get it out to El Bithell. And Dixon can't quite gather there at 10. And the referee just saying that did indeed go forward. And the RAF will have possession in their best attacking position so far.
Yeah, absolutely. First scrum of the game as well, so it'll be interesting which forward pack comes off best here. I would think the RAF are going to be trying to prove a point. That line out they've just done was a lot cleaner. Same decision, same number of people, same line out exactly, but much better drilled this time round, and gave the backs a great platform. They'll be looking to do the same from this scrum.
Graham Jenkins just calling out to Morris and her teammates in midfield, but they go blind here. And Nye looking to link up with her right winger Evie Longworth. And Tyler Lewis again with that scrum cap, bustling her way through the Navy defence as best she can. Oh, and that's very, very good. That's good defence from Ellie Brightwell. They're going through the backs here, and Fahy out to Kim Grundy. What can she do with her pace on the left wing, Kim Grundy? The move ever forward, the Royal Air Force. And Ella Johnson taking that ball into contact. Graham Jenkins, Annie Forbes. Always good line speed. And Graham Jenkins looking to move inside, but well read by that Navy defence. And Proctor. And the try line beckons here. In sight for the Royal Navy. But very, very good defence. And the Royal Navy win the penalty in a very important position in the field. With that RAF pressure just not quite telling on this occasion.
Yeah, the Navy can take some confidence from that defensive session there. Really quite calm, actually, I felt. And when the ball came out, they had the defence in numbers out on the wing. And as the ball came back, they worked with it, kept their calm. Really great defensive set there.
And an important touch find as well, as the rain begins to fall.
And importantly, they've cleared their red zone. So first foray from the RAF and come away with no points. So the Navy really should take confidence from that.
Massive boost for the Navy there. Good defence on their own try line. But the Royal Air Force just showing some of those patterns and haven't quite had the space yet to utilise the pace they've been talking about in the build-up. Both sides hitting the line at pace. Rose Dixon looking to gather here for the Navy, and just to clean that ball up a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting whether the wind is playing in. So that's 3 lineouts I think we've had, and only 1 has gone to hand so far. So both teams having a bit of a struggle, potentially with the wind so far.
The ref just blowing his whistle for a high tackle there. That challenge. So once again, the Navy with the opportunity just to get this further down the pitch and clear themselves out of a bit more territorial trouble. wind and rain threatening to alter the pattern of this game, but so far both sides still looking to play good running rugby. It's well read by the Royal Air Force defence. And Tulloch out to Dixon. And so far that, well, Abel does well there, dancing away out of trouble. A bit of a handling error there, prompting the referee just to put things right. And the Royal Air Force in a good position again.
Yeah, as you say, potentially the rain starting to have an effect there on the expansive game the Navy are hoping to play. Hopefully that won't shut the door on the game, because I think there's a lot of talent on both sides in order to play that. And just one mistake there.
A chance for both sides to take stock of what's been happening so far in this first 10 minutes of this match. Oh, and Lucy Nye coming around the back of that scrum, and nice little switch there from Graham Jenkins and Nye, and Grundy just can't hold on to it. And the referee come back for the knock-on, and a put in for the Navy this time.
First Navy scrum, it'll be interesting. So just a quick shout out to their number one, who it's her first cap today, Freya Gracie. Exciting to see the Navy bringing through new players and for the new caps to get on today in such an auspicious environment.
Yeah, huge day for Freya Gracie. First RAF cap, as you say. Just finished phase 2 training, and aspirations of playing in the Premiership, and of course stages like this stand her in great stead.
Absolutely. I think I just said she was in the Navy. Apologies, Freya. Welcome to IS Rugby, though.
She can thank you for that later. But the ball comes out, and both these sides. Dixon puts in a little dink over the top, but it's telegraphed well by Proctor. Oh, and that's lovely, getting it to Fahy on the outside. And Grundy, realising she's got a bit of Navy traffic to run into, so tries to come around the other way, and was binned there, rather, by Ellie Brightwell. And the Navy have won a penalty again. And just blunting this Royal Air Force attack so far. And we see the versatility, as we mentioned, of Jess Bryan, who seems to have been wearing every single shirt for the Royal Navy in the last 3 weeks. Who gets that ball into touch. I was expecting her to come into the stands and collect it as well. But today with the number 3 shirt, and crucial in keeping that scrum upright against that Royal Air Force pack.
Yeah, absolutely, as you say, such a versatile player, and it just screams of women's rugby that the players are not just pigeonholed into the shirt they're wearing, and the skill set that they've actually got, and the confidence of the head coaches to use those players with those skills. It's fantastic to see.
Highly impressive, as Bithell throws into the line out, but that's, well, it didn't look straight there. Nevertheless, Nye gets it out to her fellow backs, and Morris through to Proctor. Proctor eyeing up her options there. Fahy with Longworth outside. Oh, and that's a crucial tackle there on the left wing from the Royal Navy. The RAF come again. And Ella Johnson making lots of meters there, Ella Johnson. And they're ever closer to that line, the Royal Air Force. Bottas penalty once again for the Royal Navy. And brilliant in holding up that pressure once again. And another frustration for the women in purple and blue.
Absolutely, discipline so far has led to the Navy being able to clear their decks. This is a second time from a penalty they're going to be able to clear their lines, and I'm sure that Sian Williams at half-time is going to be having quite a strict word with her players about discipline in the red zone.
The question though comes, I guess, as well, Charlie Maxwell, how long can the Navy continue to stave off that pressure if the RAF are able to keep coming?
Absolutely, as I say, last year 4 minutes in, first try, so there is absolute improvement this year. But now the rain, I think it's, in fact no, it is still raining here at Franklin's Gardens, but the RAF on fire, as you say, if they get that discipline under control, are absolutely on the ascendancy at the moment.
Out it comes. And that RAF defence again rushing up, putting pressure on those Navy shirts. And same again, shunting them backwards. And Dixon trying to put that kick in, but it skewed rather off the outside of her boot, and Kim Grundy gratefully accepts. Oh, and lovely sidestepping from Kim Grundy. And the outside back's very eager for this. Graham Jenkins to Fahy. And there's a little space there, but so far the Navy holding. And Johnson once again. Been formidable so far in that scrum cap. And Proctor, what can she do? So close to the line, Orla Proctor. It feels like just inches away for the Royal Air Force, but was that ball knocked forward? Continuing to play on here. And Leica Swain coming around the side of that ruck and clattering Lucy Nye. But the phases continue for the Air Force. And forwards taking it in turns here to go route one. And they calls for space out wide, but that ball's been turned over. Another massive moment in defence for the Royal Navy. Time and time again in this match so far, they've managed to come away with it. It's still not quite out of danger here, and that ball has been knocked forward. And Kim Grundy just not able to power her way through, being wheeled around in tackle there. And on they go, the Royal Air Force. Can they get it through their forwards? Navy defence so far absolutely resolute. The back's chomping at the bit to get that ball, and it does come out now. Graham Jenkins. Oh, and it's been spilled forward, it seems. The referee just blowing his whistle and coming back for that Navy knock-on, it looks like. Oh, fascinating phase of play there.
Absolutely, and I know that Rose was speaking earlier on in the week in the pre-game chat about the grit and determination she wants from her players, and they are demonstrating it in spades out there. I'm amazed at the calmness that the Navy are actually holding this line, and the pressure that the RAF are putting them under. It's a shame because when Rose actually went to kick the ball out to give the Navy space, that's almost when the RAF are the most dangerous in broken play, and you're kicking straight to their back three. The dancing feet that they've all got is a real threat to the Navy.
Well, it puts the Navy in a corner that's blitz defence, that speed that the line is up in, because they feel pressured to kick it, and as you say, you get the kick wrong and those backs are waiting.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's the pressure at the moment on this 5-yard line. Unfortunately for the Navy, I do feel the RAF are moments away from their first score, but the defence that the Navy are putting in is absolutely fantastic.
Well, do let us know where you're watching today. BFBS Forces News YouTube live with you the entire day, the entire tournament as well. Keep those comments coming through. And Craig Tilley has been looking at some of those comments. What have you got for us, Craig?
For all the players on both sides. Rowan Sinclair, have a great game. Rolo, love Mum and Dad from RAF Lossiemouth, from Cinch 1967 on YouTube. Mario Noseman, good luck Royal Navy from Laurie's mum. Let's see, let's go on Facebook. And then we've got Annette Tadman, supporting RAF, number 6, Emma Tadman, watching from home in Devon, good luck RAF. Moira Watson Pickering, you've got this RAF, go for gold. Keep those comments coming, tell us where you're watching from, and we may give you a shout out later on in the game. It's
brilliant, and a family affair really, a lot of on a lot of occasions, and friends just watching wherever you may be, down the road, here in Northampton potentially as well, if you're watching the game and on your phone, which would be an interesting one, or indeed around the world as well. And thanks Craig for those. It's great to have your support and your watching pleasure with us as well. Nye puts that ball into the scrum, and those forwards shove it on. Under number 10 again, and Morris in midfield, spinning round Morris. That try line's in sight for the Royal Air Force. Have they got there? They have indeed, in a first try of the match. First score for the Royal Air Force. That pressure does tell, and they get there, Charlie Maxwell.
Yeah, fantastic try there for their number 8. Strong line, good angle going across. And as I said, the Navy have been putting up an absolutely fantastic defence, but the RAF pressure's been immense. And you do feel at that point they really did deserve that try. Very well worked.
The question we were asking, how long can that Navy defence keep that attack out? And an attack that has multiple dimensions as well, as we're seeing. Those forwards peeling off in the pods and trying to get through, and you know, you get that out to the backs. A bit more pace in the ball too, finding those half breaks, but eventually when it comes through, and the Royal Air Force will be relieved after that early pressure. Daisy Fahey lines up the conversion attempt to add those 2 points. A conversion attempt that's a good one, and the Royal Air Force lead the Royal Navy by 7 points to 0 here on this bright and slightly damp afternoon in Northampton. And they have that points advantage they've been seeking with all those phases.
I'm hoping at this point that the build-up game that the Navy played against the French Navy, the Marine Nationale, will really help them here with their mental strength to come back from that score and keep playing the game that they've been playing for the first 10-15 minutes. It's proved very good for the Navy, and as I say, that defence, it was inevitable that the RAF were going to go over the line at that point after all of the pressure that they've soaked up. But the Navy defence did very well. Let's hope here the Navy can show what they can do in the attack.
The worry for the Navy, as we touched on a short time ago, is those balls over the top aren't quite finding their targets, and the Royal Air Force are happy to pick them up. With the kickoff from Rose Dixon goes the way of Bex Wright, substitute for replacement for Emma Tadman. Moving their way up the field here again, the Royal Air Force. A bit more of a spring in their step now as well, Charlie.
Yeah, definitely the RAF have got their tails up, which is good. And a good big kick in there. Navy now looking at whether they can use the space. Unfortunately, a quick mistake there, and the RAF absolutely pouncing on it.
Well, it's fascinating so far. And Kim Grundy, that's brilliant stuff from the left wing. They're shipping it out fairly quickly here. That's good quick ball from the Royal Air Force. And Nye once again. Oh, and it's just knocked on there. But we're looking at both these sides and what they've made of things so far. Let's hear what Sarah Jenkins, Royal Navy head coach, has to say. She's with Kath Brazier.
Well, I'm joined by Sarah Jenkins. Jenks, of course, head coach of the Royal Navy Women. I know we come to you just after an RAF score, but yeah, I know your women have done really well so far to hold off that RAF line, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think the rain coming down there has just put a bit both teams off, really. But hopefully we can bring this back now. The girls are starting to slowly warm into that game, so we're doing all right.
What do you think it is that every year on year we want the Navy to really push themselves, and every year they're pushing it? What have you really concentrated on this year to sort of have 20 minutes without a score there?
Growth, I think. I think a lot of these girls has come through the development system, so we've been able to play together for quite a long time, and then coming through into the IS, into Marine Nationale camp. That's us been in their camp a bit longer this time, so we've had sort of 4 weeks together, other than just one that normally happens.
And Rose Dixon leading your side as ever so strongly, proving she can play in any position as well.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Rose's shoulders today, and I've just told her to go out there and enjoy it. She's trying to make every ruck at the minute and trying to be everywhere, and it's like, just calm it down, just calm down.
As long as you're staying calm up here in the coach's box, Jen.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I've got some Haribo that keeps me strong.
I do think that's helping. Sarah Jenkins, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kath. There with Royal Navy head coach Sarah Jenkins. And we mentioned that pressure, Charlie. It's told once again on that clearance attempt. Jess Bryan getting the ball away, but not until after she knocked the ball forward. So it'll be another put in for the Royal Air Force.
Yeah, it's a real shame. The Navy are actually making the right tactical decisions, but unfortunately it's the skill at the moment of carrying out the decision that's currently letting them down, and it is a real shame. RAF again right on the 5, another key scrum for them. Let's see from here which decision they make, whether it's going to be route 1 or wide.
An opportunity
they say in cricket about going into double wickets, and one brings two. Well, the Royal Navy or Royal Air Force will be hoping the same here as they put into this scrum. Very close to the Royal Navy try line once again. Graham Jenkins moves it out to Morris. He's got a bit of space. And now further out to Grundy, to Fahy, and Longworth with the score on the right wing. Evie Longworth with the second Royal Air Force try of the afternoon. And they're finding those moments now, the RAF, and converting those chances. They'll be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, that was a lovely try by the RAF. The flowing hands out right onto the right wing, making good decisions as well, running the ball to the line and then shifting it, gave them that overlap. And unfortunately on that occasion, the RAF had it in numbers. Inevitable try, very well worked. Navy really need to keep their mental resilience here, keep the team together and keep their defence. The worst thing here would be for them to drop off.
One apiece for Ella Johnson and Evie Longworth. An opportunity for second successful conversion of the day for Daisy Fahy. Quite close to that touch line. Not too much of an angle to work with. Wrong side for a right-footed kicker, but nevertheless, she's been in good form with the boot. And was hammering them over this morning in warm-ups. It's just wide there from Fahy, but the Royal Air Force won't mind too much with that 12-0 lead here at Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens. And that advantage widening on the scoreboard as well for the women in purple and blue. We've had a bit of everything so far, Charlie Maxwell, in this match. And both sides using, I guess, looking to utilise their packs and their backs, and just the Royal Air Force being a little bit more clinical so far, and it's shown.
Absolutely, and it does show how far services women's rugby's actually come, that both teams do have the ability to play the ball wide, that 1 to 15 they do have a good skill set in both squads. I think what's key here is the RAF have been working on their rugby and developing it over a period of about a decade, literally. The Navy recently have absolutely put a lot of effort into developing their women's team, but at the moment the RAF have shown the strength in depth within the squad. But it's vital that all three teams in the inter-services keep developing those players, and there's a number of new caps for both sides this week on the park. A couple of new caps, specifically first-time caps, but there's a number in both squads of actually new players to inter-services rugby, which is fantastic to see and really is what needs to keep the game going.
There's that blend of youth and experience in both camps, as we saw Round Sinclair a second ago. UCAF capped several times, an experienced Navy player, and Jess Bryan there in knocked back. Speak of her importance in this side too, and Jasmine Abel just finding a little bit of contact there, to say the least.
It's an interesting season this season for the inter-services, because at the end of this season there's the International Defence Rugby Cup happening in the UK. So all of these players will be firstly thinking about the game they're playing in, but also will be wanting to put their hand up for selection from Sarah Mitchell, head coach of UCAF, and demonstrating their skill set to gain that purple shirt at the end of the season.
Oh, looked like a promising kick from Fahy there, but it's found its way and gone dead. Yeah, that was after a Rose Dixon kick. Got a favourable bounce for her side, just over the head of Fahy. It's a little bit more kicking coming into it. Conditions have dried up a little, it seems, as well. I'm hoping that brightness, that sunshine, keeps coming through more. As you say, Charlie, the IDRC, which culminates in a grand final at Kingsholm in Gloucester on the 3rd of September. Military Rugby World Cup, so to speak. Absolutely fantastic competition. And these players wanting to put their hands up. Those who have been capped, the UK Armed Forces side, and indeed those making their debuts today. Fantastic competition. And just months away as well.
Absolutely excited it's coming home to the UK for the first time. So the first IDRC was run in 2022 in New Zealand as first women's IDRC. This will be the second. As usual, it runs just prior to the Women's Rugby World Cup in the UK, so it's a great, fantastic lead-in to the Rugby World Cup, and services players really putting their hands up during the inter-services for that selection.
You mentioned the growth and the development in this competition, in this women's competition in inter-services, and it seems that that momentum will be building through the year, as you allude to the Women's Six Nations, inter-service rugby. We've got the IDRC, and of course, as you say, the Rugby World Cup itself on UK soil. It's a fantastic time for those involved, fantastic time for those coming to watch, those wanting to get involved, as well as young players coming through the system.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's, you know, if you see it, you believe in it, and, you know, if you see it, you can be it, and all of those catchphrases. But it really is true. Building on the momentum of this season for women's rugby in the UK is so important. And the fact the military now also have our women's competition is just such an opportunity. It is great for those players, and really developed how women's rugby's come on and how we've been included in the inter-services over the last few years. Because I think, let's not forget, it was only 2022 that the women got to Twickenham, and then from then we've built the inter-services. I think it was 2019 for the first women's inter-services at a stadium, and that was the RAF versus the Army. And it guts me to say that was the first time the RAF won the competition, and congratulations to them. But, you know, 2019, 2025, we're now at this stadium, all 3 games, and it's absolutely right that it's played on the same time, same day as the guys' game. It's what the women deserve, and let's face it, they're putting on a great performance out there. Both teams are fighting very hard for their service.
Yeah, great occasion today. Fantastic showpiece, as you say, women's rugby. Women's military rugby especially, and Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens playing its part today. The first time we've seen it in the competition. Fantastic surface as well, and from what we've seen so far in this opening half hour, both teams making as much use of it as possible right across the park. And Daisy Fahey putting the ball into touch. Lou Langton just waiting to get that ball into the line out. Summing up her options here, and cleanly gathered by Annie Forbes, open side, and they're getting that rolling maul going, the Royal Air Force, getting that shove on, but the Navy equal to the task, and now yelling for that ball. Out it comes, but the Navy once again won the penalty, and the Royal Air Force being marched back as well, another 10. And that's another big fillip for that Royal Navy defence.
Absolutely discipline there again. I'm sure Sean will have a chat with them at half-time, but the Navy there again, cool under pressure. Actually, especially the RAF going for the slightly longer line out again, pushing it past the heavies in the Navy pack, but them adapting very quickly, getting back and actually driving that maul backwards. It's a great defence by the Navy again.
I think they'd love that term as well, the heavies, the heavy duties.
having been in a previous life a heavy, I think hopefully they'll appreciate that, but yeah.
So you feel you've got licence then?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'm still heavy, I just don't play anymore, but yeah, I think when you're in the front row, if you can hold your own, it's always good. Use your weight to your own advantage.
Well, honest stories are what we love here at BFBS. As the Navy get that ball out. And Dixon under a lot of pressure there from her opposite number.
Yeah, RAF doing a very quick defence there and straight up in the Navy eyes. But Navy up to the task.
It's good counter-rucking there from Morris. And well taken in by Leica Swain. Baby Rhino, as she's known to her teammates. Just to add to your point, Charlie.
Absolutely. Embrace body shape, I think. That's the key message, is that fit, muscular, on a rugby pitch, 1 to 15, 1 to 23, it is absolutely all about using your body and your natural fitness and physicality to actually play this game. So yeah, Baby Rhino's a great nickname.
A word for Lucy Nye there in defence. She's been everywhere across this field today, just putting extreme pressure on her opposite half-backs as Fahey looks to collect. Big boot has Fahey, and chips that down towards the corner. And Dixon realising that she's got to move quickly here, and well, a good charge down attempt by Grundy. That ball dribbling out into touch.
Yeah, that was another great example of the Navy kick going into good space, but it's going right into the danger zone of the RAF back three, and their counter kick there, and the ground gained by that kick. Even though it's a Navy line out, they've gained 30 yards from that kicking competition, and it's really putting the Navy under some pressure.
Little conference going on between Honeybell and Bithell there. Now Bithell, who we remember from last year's video diaries during the inter-services. And Swain again, but referee just giving the RAF a put in here. Another very promising position for the Air Force. They've been relentless, the Royal Air Force, with their speed in attack. And the Navy's defence has been relentless as well. Conceding those 2 tries, yes. The Royal Air Force may well be frustrated they haven't come away with more just yet. Johnson coming around the back. Rowan Sinclair just missing that tackle, and Johnson with Morrison support. And once again, the ball just gets a bit messy, and the Royal Navy come away with the put-in. Pretty central scrum here. The Royal Air Force will be hopeful they can apply yet more pressure from their powerful pack, both in the scrum and in loose play. We've seen them just flying up in the line. They've certainly walked the walk today in terms of those words, unreal pace they were talking about.
Agreed, and even when the Navy have got ball in hand, the pressure the RAF are putting onto them is extreme. Quite often the RAF are making ground even when the Navy are in possession. And the possession stats for this half, I hate to guess at them, they're probably 80-20, but considering that possession, the Navy have soaked up a lot of pressure. And the RAF, I'm sure, as you say, will probably be slightly frustrated at half-time. But that discipline, they need to work on their discipline, and then I think the second half is going to be quite an interesting half, especially if the sun comes out, which it's threatening to do.
Well, as you say, there may be some frustration there, but I think the RAF will know if they can just sit in and keep this pressure going as they get the ball out. But Proctor drops it, and there's a bit of space there to work with, but she'll be frustrated with that again. Whether it's a bit slippery now, potentially a little bit greasy, that surface, with some of the rain, those April showers that have been falling.
Especially the build-up games have basically been in the lovely weather we've been experiencing recently. So that, as you say, that wet ball just might be testing the players bit more than usual. And I believe a couple of the games have also been on 4G, which is also different in terms of the all-weather pitches that now the players are used to playing on. So it's interesting today is back on grass. I know there's a few people out there that are excited, mainly the front row. They can actually properly dig in.
And a penalty for the Navy once again. And the referee just making sure that discipline is maintained amid all this intense collision area stuff. And it looks as if they're lining up to take it quickly. And Brian putting that boot in there, just looking for that space down in the corner. Fahy knows what she needs to do, and delivers that ball back, and finds touch. And making sure Fahy at 15 today
playing well at full-back, that the territorial game is also putting the Navy under pressure.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it's a shame. The kicking at the moment, they're making some good tactical decisions, but they're just not quite making that line to actually gain the ground made for either kick. And the RAF, as you say, 15 having a stormer so far, those kicks out, putting them straight back into the territory where they want to be playing, right up back in the Navy half.
And the RAF winning the kicking game so far. Daisy Fahey having a good time of it. And the Royal Navy not just quite getting the same away. Forbes up again. Crunching hit once more. Dixon moving that ball right to Sian McLaughlin in the centre. That ball's a little slippery. And Jasmine Abel again looking to connect with Joanna Banks on the left wing. But the RAF bundle her into touch. And another moment to breathe. With just a few minutes to go in this first half. The Royal Air Force leading 12-0. And it could have been more, given the number of chances the RAF have had in that red zone, so to speak, as many now know it. Those opportunities which the Navy have done very well to stymie and stave. And we look once again, another line out comes the way of Forbes. And well linked up there, Nye and Johnson. And Johnson steaming forward here. And Proctor looking to move inside. Fahey out to Grundy. Grundy a season 7s player as well. And Nye just looking at her options. Moving it forward to Elise Fletcher. Air Force tight head. And yet again, the Royal Navy seeing off that pressure, coming away with the penalty and holding on there, Fletcher. And I'll be delighted coming into the final moments of this first half that they've got the opportunity just to get that ball away and get out of dodge. But hasn't found touch. And Grundy puts a little kick in of her own. And Jasmine Abel looks to move it left, seeing what option she has. Dixon with that long looping pass. And Joanna Banks and Sian McLaughlin finding contact. That was very powerful from the Royal Air Force in defence once again. Baker Swain recycling that ball. And a pass there, it looked a little flat. Not judged to be forward. Moving it out again and well held by Jess Bryan. But it looks as if it's out in the full, and it is. So they will move back. But the ref blowing his whistle. And at the end of the first half, it's the Royal Air Force who lead 12 points to 0 here in Northampton. Enterprising rugby from both sides. Fast stuff right from the off. And the Royal Air Force just a little more clinical. They may be frustrated they haven't taken more of those chances, but they'll be delighted. They go in with a 12-point cushion. The Royal Navy winning penalty after penalty, but it's often on their own try line, and they've been right up against it the whole time, Charlie Maxwell.
Yeah, the RAF have had some fantastic pressure there, as I've mentioned a few times through this half. I'm sure Sean's going to be having a chat with him. Just that final play, the RAF are just letting themselves down at the moment, but it has played well for the Navy, and it set us up for an exciting second half. Navy defence has been absolutely immense, and they really should take credit for that. RAF attack, fantastic. We've seen tries, one right on the wing, run right through the middle, and a demonstration throughout that first half of the RAF skill set. Interesting going through into the second half. Change of ends, hopefully drier second half, and another demonstration of fantastic skills, hopefully from both teams.
And there's those threats across the pitch, as you were alluding to, that the Royal Air Force have been exhibiting. The Royal Navy showing that they've got versatility too, but not getting the territorial gains. The Royal Air Force often, as you mentioned, have been pushing them back and making gains even in defence.
Yeah, apologies because I do keep mentioning the Navy defence. The RAF, when the Navy have the ball, have absolutely worked so hard, and actually that is absolutely a key area for them in gaining the territory. So when the Navy do turn the ball over and the RAF are in the ascendancy, they're always playing in the right park. And we've seen a couple of kicks through from Rose and a couple of the other Navy players, but the Daisy's absolutely up to it, back in the fullback position for the RAF, and is again putting them straight back into the territorial gain from her kicking, and she's really, really having a great game so far.
Both sides with plenty to look forward to in the second half, plenty to be proud of, plenty of frustrations too in both camps, I'm sure. But as we see people filing out at half-time, eagerly waiting for the other 3 halves of rugby we have for you today. Oh, it's very exciting, and you can just sense that crowd involvement as well. I think it's nice when you saw at the start, of course, Charlie, those players lining out. The dignitaries come, the national anthem is sung, and they're looking up and they're seeing those stands. They're seeing all the people who want to come and be entertained, and that they have been.
Yeah, agreed. And we mentioned how recently the women have actually come into the stadium games for the inter-services, but it's brilliant that now the crowd is getting behind the women's game, and all of the pomp and circumstance that we expect for a rugby game is now on for both men's and the women's games. Again, that's absolutely as it should be, and I know the women really appreciate it. And just playing on this arena as a women's player or as a rugby player, let's face it, not many people get to play at this level and with this environment, and it's fantastic for every player playing inter-services rugby to have this experience.
And I'm sure a lot of the players will be hoping it's here to stay. Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens, it's been a good host so far today.
Absolutely. As an army person that lives near London, it's a fantastic location. Slightly more accessible than some of the other games, but absolutely the pitch is fantastic and great for the game, the expansive, flowing, fast game that I know both teams are trying to play. It's a great stadium for that.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, we've plenty more coming up. Second half, of course, of this match. Don't forget the men's match follows straight afterwards. 3:45 coverage begins for that one. Of course, both sides, RAF and Royal Navy, in action in the men's competition. And you mentioned the IDRC, of course, coming later this year. There's lots to look forward to for all these women's players hoping to be involved in that tournament. And while we're joining now, we're going to join Kath Brazier, who's pitch side, and a very special guest.
Well, I'm here with Lieutenant Commander Laura Blagden, who is the tournament manager of the International Defence Rugby Competition for the women, which is taking place later this year. Laura, quite a job for you, but a perfect time to talk about it because a lot of these women will be involved, and of course it will be a UK Armed Forces team. Just tell us where we're at with the IDRC. A massive job for you to take on.
Yeah, so a lot of it's now confirmed. So from the 14th of August to the 4th of September, 8 international defence rugby women's teams will be coming down to Sandhurst for 22 days of competition. Over that time we've got 20 games, over 10 game days. So we're all really excited. Our official launch day and our tickets go live on the 3rd of May, and you can follow along at IDRC_2025 on Instagram to find out loads more information.
And just remind us of the countries that are taking part, and it's going to be 2 games a day, isn't it? So you get double header for every match.
Yeah, so we've got Australia, Fiji, Tonga, Zambia, Ireland, France and the UK all confirmed. We're just waiting on that 8th.
How exciting is it? Because we've seen, you know, the IDRC, we've seen a women's version as well, but abroad that was. Just explain to us what a massive, like, logistical, I say nightmare, but problem or sort of challenge it is for you as well, because that's a lot of teams.
Yeah, finding all the logistics, finding the good game locations. We've been really lucky. We're being hosted by a number of clubs around the Surrey, Hampshire area, and hopefully we're going to get a lot of local communities come together and watch these rugby games. Places like Henley, Richmond, Esher, Maidenhead have all come forward and volunteered their spaces. And then our final on the 3rd of September at Gloucester, King's Home.
And that'll be the final there, won't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
3rd of September.
3rd of September, correct.
Okay, well everyone, look, get those dates in your diary, August and beginning of September for the International Defence Rugby Competition taking place in this country, of course, just before the Women's World Cup, and that's the reason that it's taking place here. Just before we go back to comms, let's look at a few RAF features we picked up during the week, of course, with the women playing here today.
call ourselves the light blue family, not to be too cringe, but like it's because we are family. We all look out for each other, and we're always there to like big each other up. So that's what we were doing earlier. Like team cohesion, I think it's just that whole thing over the whole services. So not just the RAF, like RAF, Navy, Army. The way that we all come together after the game as well is like class.
Do you know what? It's every year I say the same thing. I will say that we are a family and we are a tight-knit group. But more and more, I've been part of inter-services now for the best part of 9 years, and each year I think, oh my God, this is the best family. The light blue family is just the best.
Yeah, we've all grown closer over the last few camps, especially like knowing that IS is coming up and trying to make an effort with the new girls to get them to fit in and feel comfortable. So it's really nice. It's a nice place to be around, nice group of people.
First rugby hero that you had, or someone that encouraged you to play the game when you were young?
My dad. He's the one who sort of pushed me into it and always took me to training sessions and took me to all my trials when I was younger and wanted me to play for the Navy team.
I think my first rugby hero was Nolly Waterman. She was at WASP when I first joined there as an 18-year-old, and not only was she a fantastic player but just like really kind and always helped me and taught me.
Probably my brother. He was pretty class. A lot shorter than me, a lot wider than me, but yeah, he's brilliant. And he proper tackles low as well, so what I need to do.
It shaped you up well then to come up against low tackles.
We'll try and do it. We'll see if I can bend that low. I'm getting on now.
Who would you say is your funniest teammate?
Laker Swain. We call her Baby Rhino.
Good with the one-liners or just funny in general?
Funny in general, yeah, but then often when you're least expecting it, or put in an absolute little quip.
Lee. Next.
Do you reckon you've had some nominations as well?
What, has other people done it? If they haven't said me, they've just got no sense of humour. And I wouldn't listen to them anyway.
Baddis, we call her. Rebecca Addis. Yeah, she's constantly on it. Constantly on it.
Abby Ashby. Oh, she comes out with some great one-liners and never fails to make anyone laugh or smile.
Who's the best singer in the group?
Probably Rose Dixon. She loves some nursery songs.
Nursery songs?
Yeah. Ask her about the vegetable medley.
What, to sing people to sleep or something? Or...
No, she makes it into like an anthem on a coach. It's impressive.
That's quite artistic, actually.
It's very artistic.
I'd like to say me, but it's not.
And someone else who should never open their mouth to sing, do you think? Who would that be?
Is this a hint at me singing the anthem?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Just an open question.
Once I sung Queen really loud and we had a king.
Right, okay.
Who else should never sing? Cheryl Goodwin. She's a great rapper, not so much on the vocals for...
Who was your first rugby hero or someone that encouraged you to play the game?
Sean Williams, actually.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Pretty apt then.
Yes,
that's good.
First rugby hero would be Portia Woodman, like for like female rugby players, like seeing how like New Zealand are, like they're just amazing.
The person that encouraged me to play was Jo Yap. So I started playing at university and she was the head coach. So she's really encouraging.
Who would you say is the best singer in the group?
We've just had a bit of a rendition from Yaz today because she got fined, so yeah, that's kind of stuck in my mind. She's actually quite good.
Bex, she's new to the team. Yeah, she loves a rap. So if you get her in a bit of Nicki Minaj, she'll pull over that.
And who would you say is the worst if you were feeling particularly mean?
Probably like Sarah Graham or something like that, yeah, I reckon.
I'm not going to dog myself in, so I'm going to say Annie Forbes. I think it's a Welsh accent.
Who's your funniest teammate, would you say?
You know what, Lou? Lou's hilarious.
June?
She's dry humour. And it's really funny.
Just a funny take on everyday situations?
Yeah, like if you just watch her, she'll just be doing something hilarious. Lou Langdon, yeah.
Why so?
Oh, she's just those witty one-liners and she's proper northerner and yeah, she's just fantastic.
Lou Langton, first squadron leader as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, just funny in general? Or
in general, like everything she says and just the way she says, like she doesn't even mean to be funny and she's just hilarious, but it's morale, so I think Evie's very funny. Yeah, she's a good one-liner, very dry humour.
All goaltender die. New to this year's final exercise is a drone attack, where the engineers must take cover.
After 54 years of service, this iconic helicopter is retiring, but not before one last farewell flight.
The Ridgeback is a four-wheel twin-axle armoured vehicle. We can take one casualty on the stretcher.
CMRE to NATO is what Q Branch is to James Bond, and some of it is super top secret, but other bits we can tell you about.
Trainees in the test bay must strip down and rebuild an engine to prove they know it inside out.
One of the major plus points of these vessels is that they keep Royal Navy sailors safer.
While the soldiers are able to move around this battle space independently, the safety staff in the yellow helmets who are keeping an eye on everything are there in touch with each other via radio.
We produce these butt and turbines and we'll be making them available for Sikhs across the UK.
The good thing is as well, on top of this you can put your helmet on as well.
If you were another player in the side, not just position but also maybe their personality, that kind of thing, who would you be for the day?
Who's got good hair? No, I'd have to say a good mate of mine, Joe Parkin, just because he must have all sorts going on in his head.
It'd have to be Jess Bryan. She's like a foot taller than me, can hold the ball in one hand, Fiji rugby style, like just so jealous. Yeah.
Mikey McDonald.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, he lives a very exciting life.
Probably Rhys Williams. He's just a beautiful man.
Well, maybe go again here, and surely they've got the numbers and
Beautiful try.
wonderful score there, the Army.
Try number 4 is over the line for the senior service.
Only seconds to go here at Twickenham.
The Army are the victors. Incredible 80 minutes of inter-services action.
They've certainly been through an absolute battle, haven't they?
Welcome back to Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens in Northampton. This first match of the Women's Inter-Service Rugby Championships 2025, where the Royal Air Force lead the Royal Navy by 12 points to 0. And the Royal Air Force players just making their way back out onto the pitch after a half in which both coaching staffs will have had plenty to say to their players, plenty to like about what they saw in the first half, Charlie Maxwell, but also a few work-ons, I'm sure, too, and asking both sets of players just to be even more clinical. I know it's been a bit wet and everything else, but we've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, and actually a close game so far is, I think, the best thing. I think if one team was massively in the lead, it's not great for the audience, if I'm really honest. So although you might want that as a player, actually most players want a competition. So 12-0 at half time, I think very exciting second half on the cards. Weather's cleared up. Time for those skill sets to really be demonstrated.
Well, we await to see how the tactics might differ in this second half. The Navy, of course, will be asking themselves how they can take advantage of opportunities if they get further down the park. They've been playing a lot of ball on their own try line, certainly in their own 22, amid phase after phase after phase of Royal Air Force attack, and very, very powerful Royal Air Force defence too. But that Navy defence has kept them to within 12 points of their opponents, and they'll be saying to themselves, well, this is anyone's game here. We're in for an absolute humdinger of a second half.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Navy really need to take confidence in what they've actually kept the RAF score line to so far. But in addition, they have made ground on occasion. They just need to build on those periods of play. When they've had the ball, they've kept hold of it, but the RAF really are working hard in defence to move the Navy back into their own defensive half. Hopefully this time they can break out and have a real game.
Well, a try apiece from Ella Johnson and Evie Longworth, the difference so far. What we see in the second half certainly starts with RAF possession. Kim Grundy taking that ball. And we get going. Second 40 minutes of this match. Oh, and it's lovely through to Morris in midfield, and Morris just finding a way through. Lovely offload to Lucy Nye. Can she make the try line? Agonisingly close for the Royal Air Force, starting as they finish that first half. And those forwards just bundling forward. And Fletcher there. Well, that's very close. And the referee blows his whistle. That's another try for the RAF. And just the start they'll have been looking for. That Royal Navy defence, as we've seen, has been so strong all game. But this time, Elise Fletcher and her forward pack had enough.
Yeah, just the power and the decision-making of the RAF there, really demonstrating that actually they're such a force to be reckoned with when they're in attack. Those, you know, taking the ball right into the line, even taking the tackle, handing the ball off, and just the support play there, the RAF really demonstrating when they're in attack how dangerous they are, and that support play, getting that try. Not the start the Navy clearly would have wanted to the second half, but fantastic for the light blue.
Now Rose Dixon and her troops just in a huddle behind the posts as Daisy Fahey sets up this conversion attempt. She's had plenty to do today, not least off the tee. And just pulls at that a little bit, but the ball makes it over nonetheless. And it's a 19 points to 0 lead for the Royal Air Force, setting the tone early in this second half as the sun comes out here in Northampton.
Yeah, absolutely. RAF there getting 50-50 in terms of that. Just glance off the post, went the right way, and even from the kickoff, it landing straight into the players' hands. Fantastic kickoff there, and a great start to the second half.
It's the Royal Navy through Rose Dixon, who looked to kick off here. And see how they can exert pressure straight back on the Royal Air Force. But, ball finds Fahey's boot again, puts it up high. Full back, Jasmine Abel gets it, and that's good from Dixon, and a lovely handoff there from Dixon once more. And Tulloch finds El Bithell. Oh, and up like a flash, Lucy Nye, and look at that from Kim Grundy. That's absolutely fantastic from the left winger for the Royal Air Force, and celebrating there just ahead of the posts. Score another try, and what a lightning start for the Royal Air Force in this second half.
Yeah, just demonstrating there, even when you don't have the ball, how important the attacking defence is, putting the Navy under real pressure. Unfortunately, the fumble with the ball, and the RAF just able to absolutely capitalise and run straight through. Fantastic try, individual skill. I hope it's not the start of things to come in terms of for the Navy, but absolutely fantastic play from the RAF.
The RAF attack, which has been banging at that door all day, and now trying to absolutely thump it down. And Fahey, barely time for a breath between conversion attempts. As this game's gone on, she's been even more critically important to that attack and that territory game. Lightning pace there from Kim Grundy. Lovely work from Lucy Nye. She's been everywhere today in attack and defence. The kick's good. And the Royal Air Force will be thinking that a 26-0 deficit is good too. Score here early on in the second half, and that's impressive from the Royal Air Force. They've come out with such vigour in this second half.
Yeah, 4 minutes in, 2 tries. Doesn't get much better than that on the kickoff. Fantastic effort and showing skills across the 1 to the 15 again, and that defence, that attacking defence, as I've sort of called it earlier, and the Navy now doing similar.
Well, that's good from Jess Bryan. Relatively short kickoff there from Rose Dixon. And her vice-captain Staples trying her handoff attempts. The Royal Air Force have got it back. And a box kick with Nye spotting that space. Jasmine Abel working hard to get to it, and it has gone back, it seems. And now met with Annie Forbes crunching tackle. Bithell. Get their way up to the 10-metre line. Oh, and that's lovely. That's good work there.
Yeah, great support run there, support line. Navy starting to show what they can also do in attack, which is great to see.
Abigail Ashby, who we've seen often play in a back 3 position. Very good from the inside centre today. Hasn't had a lot of ball moving forward. Hasn't been easy. Dixon as well, having to contend with that lightning quick defence, and advantage being played after that challenge. Referee just blowing his whistle. And an opportunity now for the Royal Navy. Jess Bryan stepping up. Not too many times you'll see a tight head look to find touch, willingly anyway. But in this game, as you say, with that versatility, Bryan's showcasing all her skills.
Absolutely, and as we said in the first half, it's interesting. Jenks is absolutely using her team and their skill set rather than their position to aid the territorial game. So, as you say, tight head, not normally known for their kicking, but if they can, why not? Great ground there.
Why stick to the textbook, as you say, when you've got the talent? You've got the option to bring that to the fore and help your team out. And El Bithell waiting for her forward pack here in the line out. Ball comes in and taken nicely.
Clean
Tulloch
line out
to Dixon.
Clean line out there from the Navy as well.
And Carnaby does well there, the right wing, after a rocket pass from Dixon fairly low. And just very little space to work with here for the Navy backs. That's good from Swain though. Taking it into contact and taking a few defenders with her as well. Rosie Staples. Oh, Dixon looking for Abel on her outside shoulder. Oh, Tulloch finding herself isolated here. Dixon makes it up to support her at the breakdown. And Bryan, a little offload to Staples, vice captain. And the referee just reminding Forbes to remain onside here. Navy get the penalty as a result. And more of a territorial gain eyed up by Jess Bryan. And hasn't found touch. He's found Longworth instead. And now the boot of Nye. And a tester here for Abel and Dixon. That bouncing ball. It's very nice from Jasmine Abel. Just seems to be in one position and then the next without even noticing a change in footwork. But that's lovely from Abigail Ashby. He's got real pace. And testing times for the RAF defence out wide. Oh, and that's another cruncher again from Annie Forbes.
Absolutely, I think unfortunately she was almost stationary there, collecting the ball and defence at the same time. Good attack from the RAF there. But the Navy this half are making a lot more ground when they're in possession.
Well done from Bryan there. And she finds a little bit of support for that ruck. But Tyler Lewis marching her back. Parnaby now, often in the 9 shirt, trying to find her way around the side of a ruck. Familiar position for her. That's just a little loose from the Navy, just as they're trying to get that tempo up. And Bithell binned really there. And taken up to the line at pace. Tulloch, no options does she have. She moves back infield. And Bithell. Now out to Dixon again. Bryan. The RAF doing very well just to hold the ball up as much as they can, slow down that pace of recycling from the Royal Navy. Oh, and that's a Royal Navy put in, just going forward. Interesting when put under pressure, seeing what the Royal Navy have in terms of options of attack. I mean, there's not much space to work with, not much time to work with either, Charlie Maxwell.
No, I agree, but what's interesting is actually that blitz defence from the RAF. The Navy seem to have now figured out what they're doing, and those little tuck passes that they're giving is actually pulling the RAF back into their defensive line. So the last couple of sets, they've actually kept their defensive line and not rushed up quite so much. So the Navy have actually got wise to their tactic, and it has the RAF have again adapted their defensive line. But it's just giving the Navy a little bit more time, and with that they are now making some ground, which is really good to see the different tactics they're actually both employing.
It's good from Ashby once again, and Jasmine Abel. Both getting that ball closer to the halfway line. And Tulloch looking out to Parnaby on the right wing. Stepping inside, stepping outside. And Bryan there. Not easy to take down, that low centre of gravity as well, Jess Bryan. And the ref just calling for another scrum. And as we look at that on the pitch, we look at the comments you've been sending in as well for us, live on social media. Craig Tilley has more for us.
Yes, well, so many people watching in UK, but also across the world as well. Team WW on YouTube says, good luck to the Royal Navy today, watching on a cruise ship in the mid-Atlantic. And also, Paul Brightwell, Ellie Brightwell's dad, Paul watching from a hot and sunny Cyprus. Not jealous at all, Paul. Deb Johnson, watching from France. Well done to the RAF ladies, especially Ella Johnson. Love it, mum and dad, so proud. Well, so many lovely comments coming in, keep them coming. Tell us where you're watching from, and we'll give you a shout out soon. So,
thank you, Craig. As we just see Lucy Nye knocking that ball forward after an enterprising move from Morris, Proctor, and the number 9. And that speed again. You give them an inch of space, and they come rumbling through.
Yeah, the RAF absolutely. They've been starved of ball actually since the first 4 minutes in those 2 tries. Navy have maintained possession, they've maintained attack, and as I say, they've got some go forwards. But as soon as the RAF get that ball back, they show how dangerous they are in attack. And as you say, you give them an inch and they're absolutely through it.
Tulloch with the put in for the Royal Navy. And under pressure once again, that Royal Navy pack. And Jess Bryan, who's been used increasingly as Dixon is sent backwards and almost into the middle of next week, but she's up again. And Proctor there, moving it through the hands to Fahy.
Navy going narrow at the moment. If the RAF see, there's a lot of space out on this right wing.
Oh, and lovely from Nye, moving it out left, and Fahy has the try.
But they don't need it.
she's got there, Fahy. And adding just another score to her book today.
Absolutely, chose the most difficult route for that try, but getting through, and that's all that counts. There's acres of space out on the right wing, but choosing to go straight through the middle, and the Navy will be upset that she made it through there. But fantastic try, a great pace and a great line again.
Well, Longworth was prowling on this right wing, as you say. Acres of space. But they chose to give themselves a challenge. Challenge accepted. And away Fahy comes with a try.
Yeah, and as we've just been mentioning, the RAF actually this half have not had as much ball as the first half, but as soon as they've got it, they've been dangerous. 3 tries in potentially 5-6 minutes of possession. Just absolute intent for what they can do during this competition.
I think Rose Dixon, the Navy skipper, just asking there if there is potentially a bit of crossing from the RAF backs, but the referee's happy. Fahy looks to add a couple more points. No doubt as to her physical impact today. Ball in hand or off the boot. And just contending with that wind as well. Hasn't quite made it, but nevertheless the Royal Air Force will be chuffed with a 31-0 lead. And
And Daisy Fahy, RAF fullback, with that try, and sharing the scores out across the team sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, Rose Dixon, there's no TMO during this game, so no review of that try, but just putting some doubt in the referee's mind for possible future potential infractions, so it might just cause him to pause at the next time round. But great try there from the RAF, and good start back for the to restart the game.
Absolutely, Charlie. And Fahy looking to clear. A big boot again. Abel's been kept busy as well. Likes open play, Jasmine Abel. Show what she can do. Oh, and Ashby taken down there. Tulloch looking out to Staples. It's got Leica Swain with her. And Dixon just getting that ball away. She's had Annie Forbes hot on her heels all day. As any back row worth her salt tries to do. Well, the ball's gone loose, and the referee is bringing the players back to tidy things up. Knocked on from the Navy and put in for the Royal Air Force.
Again, the RAF just showing that dominant attacking defensive line that they've got, and it's just putting the Navy, unfortunately, just under that pressure. A simple mistake there, realistically, giving them the ball back. But it is great defence by the RAF that is causing the mistakes by the Navy players.
Emily Russell, number 18 for the Royal Air Force, replacing Elise Fletcher. Had a good game, Elise Fletcher, in that number 3 shirt.
Haven't seen her doing any ranging kicks that year.
It's where the bar is set now.
Absolutely. If a tight head can't kick, are they even a tight head?
Well, Fahy now out to Longworth. She's been waiting for her moment in the last 10 minutes on that right wing. Score of a first half try as well. And Forbes taking route 1 there. And, through they come, the Royal Air Force. There's space out on the left. So their backs are yelling for that ball, but that's gone. It's pushed them right back. But Proctor does well to clean that up, and she's handing a few players off here, Proctor. She's got a bit of space out left, a bit of support from Kim Grundy. The Navy just doing all they can to hold that RAF attack back as much as they can, but the Air Force inch ever closer once again.
Proctor's handoff, as always, proving how dangerous it is. And that 30-yard gain that she's just made. Dangerous position right now.
And here they come. Fahy again, and she's straight through for another try. Daisy Fahy, her brilliant day continues. Is there anything she can't do today, Charlie Maxwell?
No, as we said at the end of the first half, she's having a stormer today. Anything that the RAF have asked of her, she has absolutely demonstrated she's up to and more than capable of doing everything they need. And that's a fantastic try again. Difficult through traffic, but absolutely no problem for her.
Just seeing Shannon Passotti, RAF number 23, winning her first cap for the Royal Air Force, replacing Evie Longworth. Been a good outing for Longworth today. And Passotti will be watching on, or will have been watching on, realising there's opportunities out there for her.
Yeah, as you say, RAF not afraid to use their wings and to score out wide. In some ways, that's good for the Navy defence. It's showing them that they are actually pushing them out wide. But I hate to say it, I think the RAF are making those decisions rather than necessarily the Navy causing it. But fantastic tries that they're demonstrating today.
Fahy again with the conversion attempt. This time the posts haven't helped, striking the upright and just going wide. But 36 points to 0, the Royal Air Force lead, about 20 minutes left in this match. And they're dominating this encounter. It was 34-12 at Brickfield Stadium in Plymouth last year. And Royal Air Force, of course, surpassing that today already. What more can they add? What more can the Navy do in response? They battled so hard in that first half to keep out a lot of Air Force ball and opportunities. But the floodgates have somewhat opened in this second half.
Absolutely, especially as we go into that fourth quarter. It would be interesting if how hard the Navy have been working all game in defence, whether that's going to take a toll in this quarter, or whether their fitness will last through to the 80 minutes. I really hope it does. It will be a shame if this is a cricket score. It really would. But the RAF at the moment absolutely showing dominance as soon as they've got that ball back.
Yeah, for those of you joining us, just over 60 minutes played, and 36-0 the RAF lead. It's great to have you with us on BFBS Forces News YouTube as Sam Hill takes the ball at pace here inside. Navy replacement in the outside backs. And a penalty for the Royal Navy. And a good position here.
Yeah, just a shout out for the Navy attack there. Really interesting decision actually to basically play the ball back inside, but there's clearly a gap there. And again, just their tactics this game have been spot on. They're choosing the right decision, but sometimes the skill set, on that occasion it wasn't. They had a great attack there and actually made some ground. So their tactical decision, Jenks has done a really good job preparing this team for this game. And actually the Navy really should be proud when they look back at this game at how they've been playing.
We see Talia Haywood, Navy number 18, coming on. It looks like Rosie Staples, vice captain, coming off from the second row. Jess Brown looking to take this penalty goal attempt. And she opens the account for the Royal Navy today. 3 points on the board for the women in navy blue. And Jess Bryan gets them going, opens the account. The Royal Air Force lead 36 points to 3.
It's always great to see front row scoring, but generally it's not from the kicking team. So that's a fantastic score there for Jess Bryan, and congratulations to her. And it's also fantastic to see the Navy on the score sheet during this game. They do deserve points. They have put up a good fight so far.
And in terms of an overall spectacle for any of those who are here today as neutrals, of course, as well, important to see possession and territory rewarded, opportunities like that with points.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's potentially the furthest up the pitch the Navy have actually got, and they've come away with some points. So absolutely, as I say, tactically they're making some great decisions, and it's good to see them rewarded.
Bryan again coming through there, trying to get the hand off, and also a nice little offload, but it's Tulloch here with a half break. Bithell looking to distribute to Dixon. Oh, and Dixon does well. Dixon does very well to find a little bit of space. Back to Bithell. A nice bit of work from the Navy skipper. Swain. And Haywood getting her first touch of the match too. Oh, and that ball's very low and a challenge to pick up, but they do so. And Parnaby here in the right wing. Parnaby, who's been using her feet to very good effect all game, but the RAF counter-rucking here has been strong. The Navy get it back. And round Sinclair, we know her threat with ball in hand. Dixon. And, well, Morris takes that and spots an opportunity here. It's a strong handoff. Kim Grundy. And Sam Hill doing well to cover that there.
Absolutely, again, a demonstration of how quickly the RAF can switch from defence to attack, and a very dangerous attack there. Navy doing well to shut it down on this right wing and actually get across and defend.
some more replacements. I'm going to go to Kath Brazier here, special guest with her.
Well, with the RAF doing so well, we're joined by one of the backroom staff, Rebecca Piddleston. Pids, known to her friends, of course. I mean, a really, really strong start from you guys. You held back for about 20 minutes, but once that first try went over, it's been all the way for the Light Blues.
Yeah, I think, do you know what, credit to the Navy, they really tested us in defence, and it was only a matter of time before we unleashed our backs, but I mean, credit to the forwards, we've got one apiece now, so 1 forward, 1 back try, and a few more on the scoreboard looking, but you know what, it's a real testament to how far the game's come, both sides putting in a contest, and it's really exciting rugby.
Yeah, it is exciting rugby, and I don't think you would have been wrong coming into this game, you know, as the stronger starters, and you know, with history behind you as well. But we saw the Navy test both teams last year. They have done so today. But I suspect the conversation you guys had at half time was just do what you do best, and we know that the RAF can do.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, credit, the Navy will always go 80 minutes. You never know what you're going to get for those 80, so it's always play to the whistle, look to express yourself and ultimately enjoy it. We can focus on our opposition, but we should focus on ourselves more, and that's what we've been doing. Just going out there, putting your best foot forward.
We've been hearing a lot about the RAF, the family, the rugby family that you have. Having Sian Williams, a former player, as you almost go over again, in charge must make a real difference as well.
You know what, the refreshed mindset, the brilliant energy that everyone's bringing, it feels like the cohesion's really increased. That being said, we've still got those experienced players coming through and leading the way, but it's also nice to have some fresh faces in there and just to basically replenish what we've got.
Well, thank you very much, Pids, and enjoy the rest of the game. We'll throw back to Simon Hunter on comms.
Well, tremendous pressure once again from the Royal Air Force back in the field of play. And the Royal Navy have just held that off once again as Dixon looks to collect in the 22. And Jasmine Abel summing up the kicking options, and a bit of pressure there coming on her once again, but gets the ball away. And as play becomes more broken in this match, the Royal Air Force just showing they're hungry for more despite their 36 points to 3 lead.
Absolutely, I think that's the key to the game though, isn't it? At services level is that you never take your foot off your opposition's throat, to be fair, and absolute demonstration there. Although just a quick mention of the Navy 22 there, Sam Hill, and a fantastic chase of that kick, and actually essentially gaining territory for the Navy and keeping the RAF away for a chance, away from the red zone for a change.
Just outside the final 10 minutes of this match. And, well, that ball's gone forward, and the Royal Navy look to have it. And moving that ball out. Oh, well up from Forbes once again.
I'll just take this pause as a quick chance to say thank you to all the commanding officers and units that have actually released the players for their games today, and all the tactical support group staff. It's so vital that these teams get time off, and people back in the home units, home bases and ships actually step up and allow these women to be released to play this game. And I know every player on the park is so grateful for that and the opportunity to represent their service, but it's based on the support from those units, so thank you very much to everyone.
Here, here. Tulloch with the put in. And Brian now in the number 8 position. Something we've seen her in a little more frequently of late. And Dixon with no real room to work with there, but a nice little chip over the top. Abel Herring after that. The ball hasn't been terribly kind, but it's picked up by Flo Mullet. Recently on the field. Just referee blows his whistle here, just making sure that players are behaving themselves and the discipline is kept. And a word with Nyan Morris.
Absolutely, and a glimpse at why potentially Rose was at 10 in the first place. That glimpsing that space and actually going for that kick. Good tactical decision again by the Navy skipper, putting her team through into some good space, and again tactical gain of territory from that chase from the right wing.
Jess Bryan pumping that ball into touch. Still outside the 22, but they will take that
territorial gain. And now we're inside the final 10 minutes of this match. And if you're just joining us, 36 points to 3, the Royal Air Force lead. And just time for another quick look at some of the messages that have been coming through. Do keep them coming throughout the day. Of course, we've got the men's match up next. 3:45 coverage starts for that. But let us know where you're watching from. And Craig Tilley has been monitoring those comments.
Yes, once again, so many messages coming through on our YouTube channel. Beth Atherson, come on RAF, very well done to our cousin Ella Johnson on her first try. Love from Joe, and Beth in Cornwall. And of course, much more across the world. Itchy Stewart, up watching RAF, watching from Saudi Arabia. That's a very long way away. Thank you for tuning in. And Stephen Hargrave, massive thank you to Janks, being Navy head coach, who stepped out of camp for the evening to run a girls rugby session with 40 girls from Trojans FC. Massively appreciated. Once again, keep your comments coming and we'll give you a shout out later on in the program.
Nice one, thank you, Craig. And a penalty for the Navy here in what could be an influential position right into that 22 now. And you mentioned Charlie Maxwell with that penalty scored by Jess Bryan just minutes ago. The Navy haven't found themselves in this part of the field very often, but they have a very, very good chance here.
Absolutely, again, good decision making, good use of the kicking, and territorial gain has got them into this RAF 22, and I do genuinely think this is their first real opportunity to put the RAF defence under pressure. Let's see what they do from the line out, and whether it's keeping in the forwards for the Navy or whether they trust their fast flowing hands themselves to get it out to this left wing.
Yeah, you mentioned Sam Hill's impact so far, coming on as a replacement. Number 22 today, her shirt, standing out there in the left wing, and she's anticipating something here for her fellow backs. The ball comes in, looks a little loose there. The referee playing on. And the Navy trying to drive that forward. Dixon. And back to Mullet. Trying to get pace on that ball as well. Laker Swain trying to bounce off a few challenges, as has been her style really through the match. Looks good from Talia Haywood. Oh, and Jess Bryan taking the ball there with some support outside, but RAF trying to close that down as well as they can. Oh, and that's getting ever closer to that try line for the Royal Navy. The best chance of this entire match so far. And the RAF camped on their try line now. First time in the match they've really been in this position. Forwards looking to secure that ball as well they can. Bryan just raking that out with her foot and trying to power her way over the line here, Jess Bryan. And RAF trying to be careful there not to have hands on the floor. And that's a good positive shove from Honeybell, the loose head prop. Still they come, and moving that out. And it's unfortunate, that one, for the Royal Navy. But I tell you what, they're getting through here, the Royal Navy. And it's a try for the Royal Navy. Wonderful score there. Maura Douglas cleaning that up. Ball came out fairly loosely, but she stepped inside there to find space. And an outstretched arm from Maura Douglas sees the Royal Navy with their first try of the game.
Yeah, absolute perseverance there by the Navy attack. Fantastic control of those breakdowns, keeping the ball going. Almost a mistake there, but actually it gave her the space then to dance through and score a fantastic try under the posts for the first try for the Navy this game. Great dominance, working up the field with the tactical use of the kicking. Fantastic display there of their decision making, and finishing off right under the post with a fantastic try.
Jess Bryan lining up the ball here.
Just a little bit of medical attention coming on here. Hopefully is all right. Oh, nice, good from Brian. Notching up the extra 2 points, and 36 points to 8. The Royal Navy trail. But adding their first try of the competition, and 36-10 they trail. Well, as we march forward towards the final whistle, entering this final 5 minutes of play, time to look for your player of the match, Charlie Maxwell. We've seen great performances right across the board from both sides today. Very impressive, forwards and backs alike. Who's your player of the match?
Agreed. I'm just going to indulge myself for a couple of minutes and just go through a couple of players.
And why not?
So a couple from both sides I think worth mentioning. We mentioned Rose Dixon. Is she out of position or has she found her position? I think that's the key. But she's had a fantastic game today, really dominating tactical decisions, led her team well in difficult conditions. I think whilst I'm on the Navy, it would be wrong if we didn't mention number 3. Brian had a fantastic game today, not just because she's kicking as a tight head prop, and her kicking has been very good, but actually she's been playing around the park. And I did mention at half-time, be interesting with her kicking whether she can actually maintain her forward play during the game as well, or whether actually the kicking will take away from her fitness. But it absolutely hasn't. She's still up there, she's still absolutely attacking as a tight head prop, but also showing some fantastic skill level there in her kicking ability, and indeed getting 5 points for the Navy today. Moving on to the RAF, of course Lucy Nye would expect a great game from her, but she really has been so influential, and some of those quick little passes and her feet have put her players absolutely into the right spot for them to dance through and get those tries, and she's had a fantastic game. However, I think it's got to be Daisy, number 15 for the RAF as player of the game today. She, again, all round the park, her defence has been on point, but more her attacking and her decision making. And I said she's not necessarily gone the easiest route for her tries as a fullback. She's gone through some heavy traffic at times, but her tries have been fantastic. I think she's had a great game around the park. Kicking's been on point. So yeah, player of the game today, Daisy Farhill.
Congratulations to Daisy Fahy. Wonderful, as you say, in all facets and every corner of her skill set. Royal Air Force number 15 today. Very impressive, and her kicking has really been central to a lot of that territorial dominance from the Royal Navy, or from the Royal Air Force, I should say. And falling into your trap as well, Charlie.
I know.
But
couple of times she's needed the
yes.
Easter luck, the Easter bunny's luck on
Absolutely.
a couple of ones going over the post, but fantastic tactical kicking round the park.
As the teams just get a bit of water on board, take a bit of a breather. Still getting a bit of medical attention here. And the final few minutes of the game approach.
I'll just use this tactical pause in the game to mention Trojans. So they've popped up on our social media, as Craig mentioned earlier, and Jenks has been down there doing some coaching for their under-16s. But I wish them luck for their final game of the season tomorrow. They've also gained promotion this season, so congratulations to them going forward for their game tomorrow and for their season next year, going up on promotion this season. Had a great season.
Best of luck to them. Congratulations on their season. And a mention, of course, to all those club sides who pave the way, really, for these players' development, who provide such a strong foundation for the quality that we see on show, and indeed the support they give, whether that be watching the matches in person, preparing the players, allowing their players to be able to take time to, just as the military, play these matches.
Absolutely right, and without the club rugby in the UK at the moment, we wouldn't have the service players that we've got. It's a reality of service rugby that we only get together for a few games a season, building up to the inter-services, and without that club level support, as you say, developing our players around our games, we would not have the level of players that we've now got on the park. And I say that for the men and the women's game. It's actually our club coaches that develop the players, and that interaction between club and service is so important. It's vital that our players get released, get time off, but more importantly for them to get down and play rugby and be proper rugby players. That skill development we've spoken about during this game is because of the work they do off the field with their clubs. So absolutely massive part of the game.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic show, a fantastic display as things continue to develop for both the men and women in this competition. And the Royal Air Force look at 36 points to 10 up, as if they're going to continue their strong showing in the competition in the last couple of years, and it's been very impressive from them today. And Daisy Fahey with the ball, looking to make the restart.
Absolutely 5 minutes left. Let's see, can the Navy get another score, or will it be the RAF showing dominance towards the last 80 minutes?
They want to finish on a high. Of course, they've got that break, the Royal Air Force, but before they play the British Army at Kingsholm in Gloucester. The Navy, meanwhile, build ahead to Army Navy at Alligin Stadium, Twickenham. And the ball just goes out. Much to the disappointment of Morris there. But it'll be a Navy throw. Rebecca Addis stepping up. Baddis, as she's otherwise known among her teammates.
Absolutely, the only Navy scorer from last year, try scorer. So yeah, Baddis having a great game. Just a quick mention while we're in the break of the Aviva Stadium, and actually next week it's the Super Saturday for the Women's Six Nations, and indeed England host France at home at Twickenham Stadium. Looking forward to a fantastic game there, and a great crowd getting down to support the Red Roses.
Yeah, so much hype at the moment for numerous rugby competitions all around the world, not least the Women's Six Nations, which has been absolutely fantastic once again this year, as the Navy look just to clean up that spillage. And once again Dixon having to stretch her right arm out and gather that in, but Abel has it. But looks as if the Royal Air Force actually have an opportunity to turn this over, which they have done.
Yep.
And Lucy Nye herring in there from afar, settling her forwards for another big push, and that's wonderful there. Brilliant stuff from Ella Johnson. But
yeah, strong run
referee
in
calling
spare
it.
Numbers.
Yeah, referee just outstretched arm and saying that has been spilled forward.
Such a shame there. It's such a strong run. Great position from the RAF, and as I say, Numbers out on the left-hand side. Had that been allowed to continue. Some afters.
Just a few differences of opinion being shared out there.
Absolutely.
But they've decided that we'll all live in harmony and accept the differences, and we move forward here. The Navy again. And Jess Bryan again with the ball.
That's a shame towards the end of the game. I think a bit of ill discipline there from the RAF. Just again, red zone, potentially just lost their head in the zone that they're in, and now Navy given a chance to march them back out of the danger zone.
It's that composure that they'll want to maintain, but they've got another opportunity here. Orla Proctor coming away with it again. And Nye moving it blind, and now the referee once again pointing to some sloppy play, really. And we set up for another scrum. Couple of minutes to go in this match, and a very impressive Royal Air Force display overall.
Absolutely dominant display around the park. Attack and defence has been on point today. Just, I think Sian working forward will be working on discipline for that game at Kingsholm. Army RAF game, tight margins, definitely to get two well matched teams, and actually that ill discipline really could be the difference between the win and the loss. So I know that she'll be working hard with her team before that game. But actually they've demonstrated an all-round skill set today. And I know Sarah Mitchell and the rest of the Army girls will definitely be watching this game to prepare for their game against the RAF at Kingsholm.
Getting a very impressive shove on there, the Royal Air Force forwards. But the Navy still have the ball and trying to break free there from that almost impenetrable defensive line. Gathering it in.
Just as we're in the last minute of the game, I'm just going to do a quick shout out to mention Sian Williams herself. First season as head coach, a new coaching team. That's all 3 women's sides now coached by women and inter-services players that have made their way through the services pathway. It's fantastic to see that coaching pedigree now in the women's game, and she has really prepared her team well for this game. So congratulations to her on a fantastic win and the team.
A win which could be an even greater deficit if this Royal Air Force attack comes off. Oh, and moving it out wide there again. And Georgia Lang just finding a bit of contact. Johnson's had a great game in that scrum cap. Lucy Nye,
another strong runner.
looking to see what she has up in terms of options, and Morris there. Just taken down there. 5 metre line beckons, and the Royal Navy have turned that again. Doing what they did to great effect in the first half and cleared it well there too. And the final whistle's blown. A resounding win for the Royal Air Force by 36 points to 10. They really outplayed the Royal Navy today. Impressive right across the board. Player of the match, Daisy Fahey, was absolutely brilliant, as was the skipper, Lucy Nye. The Royal Navy did their best to stave off a lot of opportunities the RAF had in that first half, but especially with the tone that was set first thing in the second half, that first 10-15 minutes of that second period of the game, well, that was lightning fast from the RAF and a richly deserved win, Charlie Maxwell.
Yeah, agreed. The Navy soaked up a lot of pressure. They defended extremely well, but they just weren't strong enough for the RAF on this occasion. As I say, really well drilled team from Sian Williams and the RAF team there. Work-ons definitely before they get back to Kingsholm, but great game, great demonstration of the skills that they've got. Really exciting setup for that RAF Army game.
Congratulations to Sian Williams and her side. And what was impressive the other day at their training session was just how much respect the players have for her, for what she's brought. And indeed, chatting to John Wilding as well, former RAF coach, he was saying she's had such a wonderful impact on the entire team, and she understands, as you say, every single element of that system in women's military rugby, and indeed this tournament as it grows.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been a stalwart as a player and clearly in her own capacity as an international, so Welsh international.
We've got to go to Kath Brazier, who's now down on the pitch with captain Lucy Nye and player of the match, Daisy Fahey.
And I'm with the winning RAF captain, Lucy Nye, and player of the match, Vodafone player of the match, Daisy Fahey. Daisy, I'll come to you first. I mean, you were held quite well in the first half, but once you scored that first try, well, not you personally, but once the first try went over, obviously the RAF can't be held back for too long.
Yeah, I think the first half we probably just didn't play our game. It always happens, to be fair, every IS first game. But when in half-time, we knew exactly what we were going to come out and do, and that's exactly what the girls did. You couldn't ask for more of them. Came out and scored straight away. So, yeah.
And Lucy, you talked a lot in the build-up to this game and to this year and to this campaign about the family that you feel. Sian coming in as a coach and stuff like that. How much was that demonstrated today on the pitch?
Yeah, like that's. I mean, like obviously you can hear the girls. I think like we work really hard on our off-field stuff as well as our on-field. I think like if you feel like valued within the team, then like the performance and things like that come on the pitch. And obviously like we know that it's such a hard game. It's so physical, and you're gonna want to work for each other. So I think we demonstrated that. And
do you feel that when you're on the pitch, you've got that your performance personally like has a real effect as well? But do you feel like they're listening to you out there on the pitch and doing exactly what the game plan suggested?
Yeah, I'd say like we've got some such talented people. I think like pretty much most of our backlines played in the Prem, and like to get Premiership players playing in forces as well. To be honest, like I think like we've just got talent across the board. So we just try to like match our game plan to that and get the girls doing what they're good at. So
And Daisy mentioning, Premiership players, but to play at a Premiership ground, the current men's Premiership champions, what a privilege. And the sun has finally come out for us.
Yeah, I think that's why it went so bad the first half. Started raining. We don't really play well in the rain. No, look, it's an unbelievable ground, and we can't ask for more, especially from our vets, that every year they show up and they give us the crowd, and everyone else that came along as well, they give us that extra boost that we need sometimes. So you can't ask for more, really.
I'll tell you what, they're still celebrating their win last night.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they stopped. Which fair play to them, they played unbelievable yesterday, so yeah.
Well, 2 wins out, 2 for the RAF so far. Let's see what the boys can do this afternoon.
No pressure, boys, no pressure.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Well, wonderful scenes for the Royal Air Force there. Celebration, just hearing from Lucy Nye, the captain, and Daisy Fahey, the player of the match as well. It's been an absolutely brilliant display of rugby from both sides. Very impressive win for the Royal Air Force as they look ahead to their clash with the British Army at Kingsholm in a few weeks' time. Before that, of course, we've got Army-Navy coming up at Alligin Stadium, Twickenham. It's been absolutely brilliant having alongside me my good friend Charlie Maxwell. As always, Charlie, it's been a great day, hasn't it, so far?
It absolutely has, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come along to such a fantastic venue, watch a great game of women's rugby and be part of that day. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we always love having you alongside us. We just see the Royal Navy players there as well, just taking a chance to take it all in and realising the part they've played in this as well. And words of wisdom there. You mentioned Sean Williams. We see John Wilding down there on the pitch as well, right in the middle of that huddle. And a special day for them.
Absolutely, and I believe he's got 22 days left of his military service, and he's had a fantastic rugby career on the pitch and mainly off the pitch for us in the women's game at both United Kingdom Armed Forces and RAF level. Fantastic coach, and I know graciously before this game he was saying he's only had a tiny part to play this season. Sian and her coaching team have absolutely driven it forward, but a quick thank you to John for everything he's done for women's rugby and services women's rugby. Massive stalwart of the game going on retirement.
Massive stalwart, great servant of women's rugby, military rugby. And a word on Sarah Jenkins and her coaching staff today. Royal Navy, of course, coming out disappointed from today, but I tell you what, they played their part in this match, and a couple of massive pointers for them. Jess Bryan was brilliant. You mentioned Rose Dixon in a slightly less familiar position, I guess, at 10 today, but some really bright spots too.
Yeah, and I really do mean it. The Navy defence, the pressure they sucked up in that first half was immense. Having been in that, having been on our 5-yard line before as a player, it's vital that you suck up that pressure, take it. And the amount of times that the RAF did not cross the whitewash really should be something that Sarah and her team take credit for. And then also in that second half, the glimpses of getting down into the RAF, scoring that try right in the, back in that end of the quarter, end of the last quarter, shows the fitness, the power, the confidence the team have in each other, and really positive for her to work on, and for Navy rugby to really work on going forward.
Wonderful warm applause there for the Royal Navy. And we heard the phrase light blue family. We've heard it several times before. The players, the Royal Air Force players earlier this week in training camp, just mentioning that when they talk about the cohesion, the camaraderie, how close they are. And you see there, arm in arm as well, just how tight-knit that unit is.
Yeah, absolutely. And service rugby, there is nothing that equates to it. Unfortunately, I didn't make it at the full international level whatsoever, so I can't speak on that level, but I've played club rugby for a few clubs, Premiership level, on and off the bench. But there is nothing that equates to inter-service rugby, and all three service teams, that camaraderie of the players and the tactical support group, all of those people involved in service rugby and what it means to play in the inter-services really cannot be overestimated.
We mentioned, of course, the benefits that clubs have on the women's military game, but if you look in the reverse as well, just how much does this benefit the women's game in general? This competition itself, the inter-service rugby championships, which go from strength to strength every year.
So military players, through our training and potentially the type of person that joins the military, tend to be leaders, and when they go back to club level, you can generally see a service level player back at club level their confidence that they'll take from playing in a venue like this, the opportunities service rugby gives you, and just going back to club rugby with the opportunities. And you know, you speak about bringing players on around you and that mentoring and that confidence, and just confidence carrying the ball, confidence on the park, confidence decision making really makes a difference at club rugby.
Daisy Fahey just there receiving applause, accolades, and an award as well for her performance today. As we wait presentations to the winners today, the Royal Air Force. And the players walk up one by one here, shaking hands with dignitaries, and the praise that will be heaped on them in the coming days after this win. Well, they've set themselves up beautifully in the tournament ahead of their clash with the British Army, and nice to see as well those players who weren't involved today, all members of backroom staff, and seeing as well friends and family lined out just beyond the touchlines at the bottom of the stand. It's a special atmosphere which we know rugby has brought decade on decade.
Absolutely, we mentioned about that rugby family, and it really is every member of the team, not just the players. It's the med staff, it's the logistics, it's the team manager. It is, as I mentioned earlier, it's the units releasing the players and the staff to come to the game. It's a real all-encompassing effort to make sure we've got the best team on the park, best preparation for the service level rugby. And as you say, RAF, it's an exciting game looking forward, and I hate to say looking forward to Kingsholm because we've got Army Navy
yes.
in the middle, but yeah, it's an exciting lead up to this competition.
And Lucy Nye gets ready to lift that trophy with her teammates. The Royal Air Force celebrate winning this match, getting their tournament off to an absolute flyer, 36 points to 10. Don't go anywhere, just one half of today done. Double header, an absolute humdinger on the way. Royal Navy men against the RAF men. 3:45 on BFBS Forces News YouTube live. Every second of this tournament live, every second, of course, of today live. We'll join you very, very soon. 3:45 for the start of that coverage. Thank you very much.